All right, guys, we ready? Morales, you
Let's
set us
go.
up?
We do it. We set it up. Yes.
We are live at the UCLA Health Lakers training facility, and we are joined by the brand new head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, JJ Redick. Now, I generally do the hard-hitting stuff around here, JJ. So I'm watching this show clipped. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but you do make an appearance early in the miniseries, and one of the things that comes up is the baked potato thing. Yeah. Is the baked potato thing a real thing that you will continue as head coach?
I'm not sure I ever had baked potatoes before.
Is that right?
Yeah.
They totally made it up.
How dare they?
It was made up?
Well, there's always some truth with some of these shows. The reality is I was very particular about the timing of my pregame meal.
Yep.
So the 4:30 thing probably came from the fact that most of the time the second bus was at 5 o'clock on the road. And so I would always order my food 30 minutes prior. Or to be delivered in the hotel room 30 minutes prior. And if it didn't show up, as it did not show up one time in Indiana,
right?
And I had my worst shooting night of my career.
Oh,
so there is some truth to the whole, losing your mind.
Potatoes.
It wasn't a baked potato.
Oh, wow.
No.
First of all, I can't believe only one person wished you a happy birthday. So happy 40th birthday.
Thank
you. Did that screw your family up? Did your wife and kids have, that's a big birthday,
man.
40. Normally, you're going away, you're doing something with the family. Has all of that been derailed? Is your birthday basically on hold this year?
It's essentially on hold. I had plans tonight. With a group of friends, and then we were doing a small little getaway Saturday to the 3rd, which obviously I'm not going to be able to do. My wife is still going on the trip with her friends,
which
is great. Yeah, just take my place. We'll have to just figure out something for August, I guess.
So I'm a huge subscriber to the Mind the Game podcast, and I heard you talk about the fact that this is the end of your content production. There won't be a podcast. Yeah. Where else can I go to learn about?
Well, I should have clarified though. Mind the Game, Mind the Game may continue.
Oh, okay.
Yes, just not with you two.
Just not with me.
Yeah,
right.
I am going to have zero involvement in any sort of media production.
Right.
I just want to be clear on that. Yeah. I want to coach basketball and only coach basketball.
Got it.
Yeah. JJ, you mentioned that you've played for a lot of great coaches. Obviously, you went to college at Duke. You played for Coach K. You played with Stan Van Gundy. You guys got to the finals very early in your career. I'm sure you still curse Courtney Lee's name for missing that layup.
More Derek Fisher for hitting the 3 in Game 4 to tie it.
Right. But I'm curious, now that you're doing this and you're eat, sleep, breathing Lakers basketball, who's the voice in your head you hear the most? Is it Stan's? Is it Coach K's? Is it your high school coach? Is it, you mentioned maybe a combination of all of them put together. But now that you're the one that's got to come up with the plan, whose voice do you hear more than any other?
That's a great question. And honestly, it's probably a combination of them all. I answered a question there about just I have to be me.
Sure.
I can't be an approximation of Coach K or an approximation of Doc Rivers or Brett Brown or Stan. I just have to be me. And honestly, players need me to be me. They need me to be my real self and my authentic self. So, honestly, there's a combination of voices, sure, but overall, I just kind of hear my voice.
Good. Yeah.
So I've heard you talk about, as a player, you wanted the ball in your hands at pressure moments, that you were a guy that sought that out. Do you feel like that's kind of what you're doing in taking this job? You're inviting all the pressures that go along with being the head coach of the Lakers?
Yeah, look, I'm not unrealistic about what this job is, what it means, the expectations, the scrutiny. I'm not. I know it's going to be there. I know it's going to be hard. I love it, man. I love it. It's funny when I got the job offer and there was some little whatever back and forth, but I was like, all right, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I feel alive. I feel alive. I want all of these things that come with this position. I do. I'm okay with it. You have to, if you're willing to pursue something that is awesome, and I experienced this as a player. Playing in the NBA is the greatest job in the world. It was the best thing I've ever done. It wasn't always pretty. It wasn't perfect. There was a ton of pressure. There was conflict. It always existed. There was a borderline stress level that was constantly there. And I loved it. And this job probably that times 10. Okay, great. Does it mean I get to do the things that I want to do, which is lead and serve and help players and win basketball games? If that's what I want to do, then all the other stuff, bring it on.
JJ, I've been here so long that my first year working with the Lakers was with Del Harris, and I've been with every coach since. And some of those guys, when they're picking assistants, want people they can trust. That's it. Guys they grew up with, maybe guys they played with, guys they know are always going to have their back. Other guys want voices that are different than their own, people that are going to tell them things. And where do you fall on that spectrum? Rob talked about the fact he'd like to see some experienced head coaches here. I know you're going to have a big say in that. What are you looking for when you're filling that bench more than anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I will have the say of who our coaching staff is, but that doesn't mean Rob and I are not collaborating on literally every single position, right? Like, I think that was one of the big things for me during this process was just like, how are we going to do the staff? And it is essentially a blank slate. And we are completely aligned in that the front of bench should have experience. We definitely want at least a couple former head coaches in the NBA there. Behind the bench, we want young, hungry, innovative, fresh, self-doers, self-motivated. That's what we want behind the bench. And there's got to be that balance. I will talk. You'll hear me talk about duality all the time. Like, I want that duality. I do. In terms of the voice, right, in terms of the disagreement or the yes men, like, I certainly want people to disagree with me. I certainly want to have conversations about strategy, game planning, where there is disagreement and we can talk through it. The key part is that there is one voice, right? That if I say it and then an assistant coach goes and delivers the message, it's me saying it, right? I think that's the big part. So there has to be a level of trust, collaboration, all that stuff, but the disagreement has to exist too.
Okay, last thing for you. Everybody who knows you knows that you watch a ton of video, ton of tape. You did it for your ESPN ABC job. Now you're looking at it from a coach's eye. What have you noticed? I know you're just getting started with this, and
Yeah.
so some of this is probably coming from when you were an announcer.
Yeah.
But what have you noticed that the Lakers do that you already know in your head, okay, I can help there. That is a correctable thing that I can work with, whether it be offense, defense, different combinations. I know something had to. What jumped out?
Well, in watching them this year, they did a lot of really good things. They did a lot of really good things. The lineup that they went to starting in January had a lot of success. I would say the thing that jumps out to me the most is just having clear and concise rules and communication on defense. We have Anthony Davis. He's a top 5 defensive player in the NBA. He's one of the 5 best defenders in the NBA. I think historically, if you have one of those guys, you should have a top 5 or top 10 defense. And so, I was talking earlier about just creating margins, and some of that was offensively. I think there's small stuff just in like 2 weeks, right?
Right.
Where I'm like, there's just small stuff where we can create enough margins that, hey, instead of being 17th defensively, we're already right there around top 10.
Right. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Listen, it is awesome to get you on. Thanks for a couple of minutes, and we're excited for the J.J. Redick era to begin. Congratulations and happy birthday.
I appreciate
Congratulations,
it.
man. Happy birthday. Appreciate you doing that.
All right, J.J. Redick there. We're going to come right back, react to all that stuff next. Mason and Ireland, we're live from the UCLA Health Lakers training facility on 710 ESPN.